Police report an armed and dangerous person on or near campus. We've got WR's Monica Casey on her way to that scene. We will get information from her as soon as she arrives. But this is what they're telling us here with Alert Carolina. We know that students are being told right now to shelter in place. And as you just mentioned, Renee, this is a situation that happened just a little over a week and a half ago. I was also just handed a news release about what possibly going on at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, issuing a notification. The sirens have been alerted. The report of an armed and dangerous person on or near campus. Again, the sirens are going off on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill as we take a live look now at a main intersection there at Franklin and Columbia Streets, which is right near the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Again, I want to show you this alert that came from Alert Carolina here in the WRL newsroom. And this is all it says. Police report an armed, dangerous person on or near campus. The sirens have been going off. And here's what university authorities are telling students to do. They're asking students to go inside immediately, close all windows and doors, and stay there until further notice. Follow-up directions for emergency responders and university officials will follow. Again, students are being told to shelter in place as we figure out exactly what's going on. This is happening just, a week and a half ago after another incident happened on the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill at Cardell Labs. As we've been reporting, police say a doctoral student walked into Cardell Labs and shot and killed a beloved professor, C.J. Yin. As a matter of fact, today the university was pausing to pay respects and to share their fellow members, just to have them express concerns about C.J. Yin. As we said, that we have a crew on the way. Monica Casey just arrived there on campus. Monica, set the scene for us, and what do you know so far?
Story we're actually...
Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with Monica. As soon as we get her back, we'll, of course, get some more information from her. But as I was saying, this is coming on a day that university officials there on Chapel Hill were pausing to remember their beloved colleague, C.J. Yin, who was gunned down, as police say, by a doctoral student. But students, once again, are having to go through an emergency situation on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. And what are we, 2 weeks into the semester, and this is happening yet again. But I want you to show you the alert here in the newsroom that went out just within the last 15, 20 minutes that alerted us to something that's happening on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. The only thing the alert is saying that police report an armed and dangerous person is on or near campus. Of course, police are converging in that area to find out exactly what's going on. Right now, students are being told to go inside immediately. They're being told to close all windows and doors and stay in place until further notice from emergency responders or university officials. We also know that the sirens went off there on Chapel Hill. Now, if you're a parent, I know that you're a bit anxious about this, hearing this news just within 2 weeks of what happened there just 2 weeks ago. But we are trying to get as much information as we can. We do know that we're not hearing any reports of anybody going to the hospital. We're not hearing any reports of anybody being injured at this point. So that should be able to at least calm your nerves for right now as we continue to try to figure out exactly what happened and what's happening on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill right now. Jeff and Renee.
Ken, thank you. We are getting new information into the newsroom. We've just learned that police have sent out a BOLO alert, a be on the lookout, over at the student union at a bagel place there. So that appears where the center of the investigation is right now, over at the student union for that suspicious person.
Some sort of incident on campus that happened at that location. Also, the campus officials are saying that if you see anything suspicious, you're asked to call 911, but don't call 911 and try to get information about what is going on. There are other avenues for that. In the last 2 weeks since the incident happened there on campus involving the shooting of that professor, they've been discussing what procedures went well, different ways that they can possibly increase their security and increase the communication and when these things happen. But 911, only if you suspect that something has gone wrong and you have some information to add to this after that incident at the student union at the bagel place there.
Sadly, this is all feeling too eerily familiar as we went through something similar to this. The folks at the UNC Chapel Hill on August 28th, when there was a campus shooting where a graduate student killed a professor. We're going to go back to Monica Casey, who is live on campus right now with new information that she's learned. Monica.
Yeah, Renee, we were on campus here at UNC Chapel Hill working on another story when we started to hear those sirens that went on for a few seconds. Then we heard that automated voice telling people to get inside, that there was an armed and dangerous person on campus. We're now here outside the student union, just a little bit further up the street. You can see people are now coming out of that building. We've been in this spot for about the last 5 minutes or so. Further down the street, University police are down there. You can see lights flashing down there, but people are coming out of this building now.
And Monica, the student union, any time of day is always a busy place. We're seeing some of those students walking right now. What do you sense in the mood from the students there?
Yeah, Renee, when we saw students start running, it was kind of this feeling we were seeing on their faces of here we go again. People were really distraught when those sirens started. Before the sirens started, we actually saw a few police officers driving down the street with sirens on maybe 2 minutes before those campus sirens started going off. And students were already running at that point. Just seeing police with lights and sirens on campus had these students trying to seek shelter immediately. So people here are really shaken up from what we are seeing.
Well, it's certainly understandable given the recent incidents that we've had and seen and reported on in the last 2 weeks, certainly. And seeing them come out of that bagel shop and come out of the student union there, as Monica described, running, but what we're seeing there now, not running, and it looks like it's an orderly sort of exit out of there, but certainly police presence all around that area.
And you are going to have varying reaction anyway. Some folks certainly trying to get to safety, others perhaps just keeping up with the alerts there on their phone and getting to their destination. Let's go to Ken Smith now in the WRAL Live Center with what he has. Ken.
We're following up on that bolo, be on the lookout, as you just mentioned, Renee, and we're told that someone was involved in some type of incident at that bagel shop there inside the student union. It's a very popular bagel shop. It's called Alpine Bagel, right there in the student union on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. So whatever happened, that bagel shop and that incident that happened at that bagel shop apparently is triggering what you're seeing here on campus. There's massive police presence right now on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill as a result of Alert Carolina put out an alert about an armed and dangerous person on or near campus as a result of this incident that happened at that bagel shop. At this point, as Monica just reported, that police and the campus community are taking this very seriously. As you can see, a police cruiser right now is beginning to block off an intersection there on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill to focus their attention right now on that area of that student union. That's probably not far from a popular area called the Pit, where a lot of students hang out at any given time. Again, this is an incident that they put out a bolo concerning someone who was involved in an incident at the bagel shop there at the student union. And we're, of course, trying to figure it out as police try to cordon off that area and figure out exactly what's going on, Jeff and Renee.
And Ken, adding on to that, we've been working our sources, and we've learned from some sources telling WRAL about that incident at the bagel place that no shots were fired. Again, this is a source telling WRAL no shots were fired, and that there was no robbery in this situation. But clearly they had a person who was armed with a weapon, but we've learned no shots fired.
Yeah, and with that be on the lookout alert sent out, they are certainly looking for what caused this, what started this, and how this will become resolved as they go through this incident on campus. UNC Chapel Hill is where we're talking about. If you're just joining us right now, just after our noon news, we came back on the air with you to tell you that sirens were sounded on campus. The UNC Alert Carolina went out. An emergency alert went out telling people that, with that emergency notification to go into a safe place, get into a building, close windows, lock doors, things like that. We are seeing some people coming out of the student union in an orderly fashion. There are law enforcement all over the area right there, and we have Monica Casey on the ground right there getting a firsthand view of what is happening there. So as we try to sort this out, take you back to this live look here, Franklin Street, top of the hill there in Chapel Hill.
A very similar safety protocol as what happened during the first week of school for students there at UNC Chapel Hill. They have just been working through their grief, working through the process of trying to work through that campus shooting that killed a beloved professor, Professor Zijie Yin. The gunman in that shooting is in jail. A grad student, police say, that targeted that professor. That investigation was all focused on Caudle Labs. What we're learning now about this particular situation, we've learned from a source that no shots are fired and that it appears to be centered around a bagel place, Alpine Bagel, in the student union, which we can all assume is a very, very busy place where students congregate. And as we take a live look here on campus, we saw some of those students file out. There was no one running that we saw. People were just walking out in orderly fashion. You see some students and people there standing there waiting for an update, an alert. We see the police emergency vehicles, the presence. We're not seeing the kind of police presence, at least from this vantage point, the way we saw what happened on August 28th, 2.5 weeks ago, with the other campus shooting. Although Monica did report that she did see some law enforcement vehicles roll by, and we do see an officer there armed and going to that particular building, the student union.
And that is the first officer that we've seen with a gun drawn in this instance right now, but certainly gathering some information and evidence. One of the Chapel Hill police officers we saw down the street there talking with possibly a student. It looked like a younger person there where they were trying to gain some information to what happened. This comes at a time, as we mentioned, 2 weeks after we reported the initial incident in the first week of school where the professor was shot. And even reporting today, a group that got together and remembered, had a memorial and had a moment of silence for that professor this morning. So kids are just trying to catch their breath and get back to class and get back to some sort of normal, but still remembering what happened in recent weeks. And now another stark reminder right here today is that Be on the Lookout has been issued an emergency notification. Alert Carolina is the place to go. That's the website where you can get the best information to update student-wise on campus what is happening here. The 911 resources that are being reserved for calls for direct information into what happened. If you know or see something suspicious, that's the time to use 911, not to get the information of what is happening right now there on campus now.
We know there are a lot of families who have students attending UNC Chapel Hill. They also know a lot of people who work there on that campus, and getting these alerts once again about an armed and dangerous person that's on or near campus. We did get a news release from UNC talking about that emergency notification that they had to activate the sirens about an armed and dangerous person, and they are telling all people on campus, faculty and staff, to go inside immediately, to close the windows and doors, to stay until further notice, and to follow directions from emergency responders or university officials. But this live view that we have here on campus, you can see a few of those emergency vehicles at this vantage point, not seeing that massive police presence the way we saw 2.5 weeks ago when there was an on-campus shooting. We can tell you from a source that told WRAL that no shots have been fired, but they are looking for a person who is armed with a weapon, and they certainly want to find that person immediately.
Yeah, that same source is confirming that, right near that Alpine Bagel shop, that person was seen with a firearm right near that place. Again, as you mentioned, that no shots fired, no robbery took place, so some sort of an altercation brought the awareness and attention to that area with students at a busy time of day. You have to believe 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Student Union. But that has been cleared out now. Law enforcement is scouring through that area, as we have seen from this live picture on UNC's campus here, as well as a look from the top of the hill camera on the left there, Franklin Street intersection there in Chapel Hill.
The law enforcement authorities trained to respond to these type of situations. Fortunately, they had to put that into practice 2.5 weeks ago on August 28th. And once again, they were doing it now, carefully, methodically, going through the building to make sure that it is secure. Meanwhile, it is our understanding that the people inside the building are staying secured in there until they are able to find this person. And that's what they're telling students and staff to do, to find a building, get inside, and to hunker down until they are able to learn more information about this situation of an armed person on campus.
Let's get back to the Live Center with Ken Smith. Any updates, Ken?
Yeah, we're continuing to gather information, and everything is coming into our newsroom. And we just got this from the Chapel Hill Carrboro schools. They are aware of what's happening on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill, and based on that, about just before 1 o'clock this afternoon, when that alert went out, all Chapel Hill Carrboro schools have been advised to enter a secure mode. And what that means is all doors will be locked. People are not allowed to go in or out. Classroom instruction can continue normally inside, but for right now, this incident is going beyond the confines of the campus there at UNC Chapel Hill Carrboro schools right now going into secure mode. Again, instruction will continue in class just to be as a precaution. They just want to make sure that students are safe, which is always a priority when it comes to situations like this. But if you have a student in the Chapel Hill Carrboro schools, just know that this is strictly a precautionary measure being taken by the school system as part of their protocol. When something like this happens, they just want to make sure that students are safe and secure, but instruction will continue based on this secure mode. I also want to bring you back here to the Live Center. We're trying to figure out this tweet that we just got from Evan Fisher. Once again, for the second time this semester, sirens are sounding on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill, as you hear right there. How is this real? And that just goes to the heart of what we've been talking about in terms of what these students have been experiencing for the last couple of weeks. For a student or even an alum to put out a tweet like this and to hear those sirens again, being traumatized all over again for the second time in a couple of weeks. So you understand exactly what they're feeling now when you see a tweet like this. Jeff and Renee.
All right, Ken, thanks for that. And right now on campus there, Monica Casey is standing by live for us. Monica, can you give us an update of what you're seeing right there now? We saw some of those kids coming out of the student union, didn't appear to be running or hands up or anything like that.
Yeah, Jeff, that's right. We did see a handful of students and a couple adults come out of the student union. They went across the street here. There's another building back behind these trees. They seem to have gone inside another building somewhere else, but things are definitely concentrated here on the student union. We're not hearing any more sirens or any more campus sirens right now. Police are concentrated in this area. If we take a look on the other side of the street, they do have things closed here on the intersection of South and Stadium Drive. I have seen a couple of students who were walking down this street here who saw these police vehicles and instantly went in other directions to try to get back inside, making sure they are in a safe place. It is completely quiet here on campus now. It's pretty eerie, especially after what happened at the end of last month. Just completely quiet in this area right now, really no one around except police. We do have Chapel Hill police along with University police and some unmarked vehicles here on this scene.
Monica, that initial siren that went off, now we do understand when we hear that siren next, that will be the all clear siren. That has not happened just yet. You were there on another story on campus. You heard that initial siren. It came with an audio message. Could you hear what they were saying?
Yeah, that's right. We saw a couple of police vehicles with lights and sirens go down that street first, and probably less than a minute or so later, we started hearing those university sirens go off. The automated message was saying armed and dangerous person on or near campus, get inside, essentially. And that's when we saw a lot of students start running. A few of them had actually started running when they first saw those police vehicles going by, and that really goes to show the mood here on campus, that when the minute they heard those just police lights and sirens, they were trying to get inside immediately. We saw people running in really all different directions trying to get inside.
And Monica, give us an idea of your exact location, especially for those who are just joining us right now on this breaking news story, as well as those who might not be familiar with the UNC Chapel Hill campus. So this is near the Student Union, but where are the streets blocked off, and where are you in comparison to the Student Union?
Yeah, Renee, we're pretty close to the Student Union. This is the intersection of South and Stadium Drive. This is near the bell tower, and as you're seeing, a lot of vehicles pulling up right now with lights and sirens on. It looks like they may be blocking off this road, South Road, further back in that direction. We are basically across the street from the Student Union, just one building further down.
It doesn't seem like there is a huge sense of urgency there, other than the sirens that we heard and the several cars pulling up there, although several officers getting out there and also coming across that intersection to you right now. And I'll just let you explain what you're seeing now. Are they going to move you back?
Yeah, we are waiting to see that right now. Some of them are heading in the direction of the Student Union. The road is still closed here at that Stadium Drive intersection.
Looks like
and some of them are now heading back in the other direction. That's right. Yeah, it looks like they are heading back to their cars, possibly heading somewhere else. There is a bit of a sense of urgency with their movements as they, jog back to their cars there and look to either possibly close this road further up or maybe head out in a different direction right now.
Just like us, it appears they're getting information by the minute and changing course right now, because they pulled up in haste and got out and now getting back in and possibly just leaving for another location, listening to the radios and getting information and moving on.
We'll stay with this live picture here, since this is the most action that we've seen so far since we've come on the air, with the police vehicles pulling up to that area near the Student Union on UNC Chapel Hill's campus. We do also want to let you know we did get a bit more information into the newsroom. Another source telling WRAL the same thing that our initial source confirmed to us, that a person was seen with a gun on campus, but no shots fired, and that there was no robbery that took place. But still an armed person that police are on the lookout for right now.
And this is a live look that we're seeing right now. Just a few minutes ago, there was not all this activity at this intersection right there. And Monica, it was pretty quiet. And those kids have, and some adults had come out of the Student Union and moved on. I'm guessing they went to a safe place, went into a building like the alert and the siren, when it sounded, told folks to do. Close your windows, stay in that safe place. Area schools, Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools, for instance, are on a secure lockdown situation right now. They're going on with classes, but no one's allowed to come in or out of the buildings. They're going to continue with their learning at the city schools there. But as far as high school, elementary schools, things like that, they are aware of this situation and keenly taking care of what they need to be safe.
Monica, what are you seeing now?
We're now seeing those police officers, they're going past us, going toward the Student Union right now. Still no students outside right now. It's still very quiet with the exception of these 4 law enforcement officers heading down in that direction. You can see some of their vests say sheriffs. They may be with the Orange County Sheriff's Office here as well. So we now have UNC Police, Chapel Hill Police, and a Sheriff's Office, possibly Orange County, could be Durham County, here on campus.
No doubt in an incident like this, you have all the neighboring agencies also coming for reinforcement to help out, not just UNC Chapel Hill Police and Campus Police. You would also have Orange County Sheriffs as well as Durham County Sheriff's deputies helping with this investigation, playing out in real time here on the UNC Chapel Hill campus, where there is an armed and dangerous person that they are looking for right now. Their investigation focused on the student union. That's where all those officers are walking into right now.
Just before 1 o'clock, that alarm sounded on campus there with that alert message for folks to take shelter, get inside, get to a safe place, close windows and doors, lock them, stay inside, stay off the streets. That's why we have not seen virtually, once those people emptied out of the student union, we have not seen anybody making their way around campus just there. And it was relatively quiet until just a few minutes ago when several more of those units showed up, looking in that area, out of the vehicles, back in the vehicles, moving around. And we heard the sirens when Monica was talking and wondering, you know, are they getting closer? Are they going farther away? What's the situation? Well, they came right to us in this live video or live shot that we're looking at right now, where those officers came in and are now searching in and around that area.
And Jeff, there is certainly a significant police presence there as we see these law enforcement officers standing outside the building, securing the building. There are also presumably those going inside the building to secure that building, the student union, where we've learned that there was an incident at the bagel place, the Alpine Bagel, in the student union, where someone showed a gun. Let's go to Ken Smith now in the WRAL Live Center with what he's learned. Ken, what have you got?
Yeah, and staying with that video that we're seeing right now, right there in the student union, many of us have covered stories there on UNC Chapel Hill this time of day, particularly when we work dayside hours. And this time of day, that area is such a popular spot for students because the bell tower is right across the street. The student union is right there. Many of the restaurants and dining halls are right there. So to see that area so quiet and so clear, it just gives you an idea of how serious this situation is. I also want to show you exactly some new video that just came into our newsroom, taking you back to about 1 o'clock when those sirens started going off. You can see right here students hearing the siren, knowing what those sirens meant. You can see them running to get inside of a building because as we've been reporting that when you hear those sirens and you hear that audio message that comes out, it's telling students to get inside, get into a safe place, and be sure to lock doors and keep the windows closed. But as you can see, these students had a sense of urgency about them when they're hearing those sirens. And because this has happened, in the last 2 weeks, they're very familiar with when those sirens go off to take it extremely seriously. Getting back to the video that we're seeing now on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill, this incident is also impacting schools beyond the confines of the university because Chapel Hill Carrboro schools right now are in what they're calling a secure mode. Classes are still being taught, teachers are still doing their job, students are still learning, but no one can get in and out of the buildings, and those buildings are on lockdown right now as this situation plays out on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill as we monitor exactly what's going on. Jeff and Renee.
And Ken, you mentioned that residual impact for Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools, who also just started their school year with the last incident with the on-campus shooting on Chapel Hill, and then now having to go into secure mode where, yes, they are having classes, but still following that security protocol as a precaution because of what is happening on the collegiate campus at UNC Chapel Hill.
Certainly it was not a normal week for Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools. That first week of school, it was not a normal week for kids on the UNC Chapel Hill campus. either. And even 2 weeks later now, just this morning, there was a meeting, a group got together and they started the meeting with a moment of silence for the professor who was killed by the grad student 2 weeks ago. So heavy hearts there still, but still fresh in their minds. Amazing.
And for so many students there at UNC-Chapel Hill, it is here we go again. Let's go back to Monica Casey, who's had an opportunity to talk to some of those students. Monica, what are they saying?
Yeah, Renee, I just spoke with a couple of students who told me they actually hadn't heard the emergency sirens, but when they started walking in this direction for lunch, they realized something was clearly wrong in this area. It's obviously completely silent, no other students around, but then they also saw the law enforcement presence. Those students told me as they were walking, they could see shoes on the ground, that people had basically run out of their shoes trying to get into buildings so quickly. They saw some discarded backpacks, things like that. That goes to show the sense of urgency people felt when those sirens went off. Those students that I spoke to are now getting to a safe area, seeking shelter at this time. The scene here on the ground has not changed too much. This road is still closed here. This is the intersection of Stadium and South Road. This building completely quiet, and the investigation is centering down here on the other side around the student union. You can see a couple of Chapel Hill police officers walking with long guns outside the student union. It looks like at that intersection further down, there are also police vehicles blocking things off. We've seen a multi-agency presence with obviously UNC police, but also Chapel Hill and a local sheriff's office are here on campus. No sirens at this time, still a lot of cars with flashing lights in this area, and still no students out walking around. We did see some come out of the student union heading to a safer place as the investigation centers over in this direction.
Monica, thanks. We have the opportunity now. Folks, it's the bottom of the hour here, 1:32. And if you're just joining us, we want to kind of let you know what's been happening here, set the scene for you if we can. This is a live look right now from top of the hill camera there in Chapel Hill. At 12:55, the sirens went off on campus, UNC-Chapel Hill. Sirens telling folks with an audio message to take shelter, get inside, lock windows and doors, and stay inside because of an incident that took place on campus at the Alpine Bagel Shop that is at the Student Union. It has been confirmed by a source of ours as well as a law enforcement source. So a couple different sources confirming that a person was seen with a weapon on campus in that area, a gun. No shots were fired, and there was no robbery that took place at the bagel shop. This is video you're hearing at the time of that activation at 12:55 when that siren went off. You could see kids scrambling for cover and to get to a safe place. But at that time, at this time, there was a be on the lookout notice sent out, an active search for the person who is involved in this based on a weapon being drawn on campus, very simply, as we continue to take a live look at what is happening right now.
We want to stress that there has been no report of shots fired. We are not aware of any injuries at this point. Everything focused on the student union right now as those law enforcement officers are actively searching for someone who displayed a weapon. No robbery, no shots fired. That's what sources are telling WRAL with this situation here on UNC-Chapel Hill. Feeling eerily familiar in the sense of the Alert Carolina and the safety protocols immediately enacted after seeing someone with a weapon on campus in this situation. The other situation happening August 28th, not just about 2.5 weeks ago. That was at the start of the school year, and what a rough start of the school year for UNC-Chapel Hill students who are now all too familiar with having to lock down and shelter in place because of these emergency situations and a gun drawn on campus.
This live look that we're giving you right now is focused very near where the Alpine Bagel Shop is inside the student union and very near where a lot of activity, police-wise, law enforcement-wise, is centered. But the perimeter, we're being told, for this search for whoever did this is the main campus. So that's a wider perimeter than just where we are seeing right now, where this hub of activity is for law enforcement. So the main campus in its entirety has been established as the perimeter for this search. And the Alert Carolina app and website, that's the place to go to get the best information for what is happening right now as far as being on campus and wondering what is going on. 911, if you have any information that can help them find the suspect in this case, but ways to figure out what is happening. This activation is still in place. They're still telling folks to shelter in place and stay inside buildings, windows closed, doors locked, as we see more law enforcement enter.
And you can count on WRAL to stay on the air with you as we get new updates in on this active search that is happening for an armed person on UNC Chapel Hill's campus. It has now been about 40 minutes since that activation started at 12:55 for the entire campus. You're looking live there near the Student Union. This is South and Stadium Drive, not too far from the bell tower. We've learned that authorities have blocked off South Road, and within the last 10-15 minutes, we've seen several cars pull up with their flashing lights. We've seen law enforcement officers exit those vehicles and then walk around the perimeter of that student union. We see some hanging outside the building and some have now gone inside the building. We've seen several students leave as well, but right now we're not seeing much student activity right now. And again, they're getting more reinforcement here as they see the officers pulling up in their vehicles with their weapons and getting ready to go through the buildings there to hopefully resolve this situation.
We've seen Chapel Hill Police, we've seen local area law enforcement, including sheriff's offices involved in this. We have a Sky 5 view that we want to show you now. We can take you high above what is happening there on campus and the main area. We're right on the ground, right in that area where all this activity is, but Sky 5 gives us a little better perspective of the amount of law enforcement that has shown up. And this street, not 15 minutes ago, was virtually empty save for 3 or 4 vehicles there, and now more than a dozen have shown up with sirens coming in, and now, as you can see, that scene being patrolled and searched for what is still an active situation. And the communication, we are trying with university communications to figure out any more information. Law enforcement sources trying to figure out exactly what is going on and where this search is taking them.
And Jeff, that live aerial view from Sky 5 that we're seeing on the right side of your screen right now, that gives us a much better idea of the kind of law enforcement response that we're seeing with this situation. Certainly we're seeing a number of vehicles outside the student union, and yet it does not quite compare to the response that we saw on August 28th with that on-campus shooting that happened 2.5 weeks ago when a professor was gunned down by a graduate student. But as we look live here on what's happening today, we do see law enforcement vehicles there surrounding the student union. We've seen officers with their weapons drawn approaching that building right now. We are not seeing any mass exodus of students. Of course, they're being told to shelter in place and to stay secure until we await instructions of what to do next as they keep looking for this person who is armed. Our sources tell us that there have been no shots fired. We want to reiterate that, no shots fired. We are not hearing of any injuries as of yet. Right now, we are seeing that law enforcement presence as officers conduct their investigation. And here we see some more officers right outside the student union there.
Active situation and told to secure in place on the entire main campus. So that's the perimeter for this. There's nobody in custody out of all this. So there's a person out there with a gun, according to law enforcement, that they are very concerned about. And following up on leads, when this initial wave of law enforcement vehicles pulled up, all the units came in with lights and sirens. They got out. Some with guns drawn, came across the street, went back on the other side of the street where the student union is. We saw them running back to their vehicles. A few of them moved off of that direct area where we're looking at right now and got out and searched. So up and down this street is certainly blanketed with officers. So this is the central area of activity for where they are searching for that person with a gun.
And Jeff, as this active investigation is unfolding as we speak, as you're looking live with these live pictures on campus, this is also affecting the school system in Chapel Hill, Carborough City schools. All those schools have been advised to enter secure mode. And what that means is doors are locked, no one can go in or out, but they are still holding classes, so still normal operations within the classrooms, but they are locking all doors. No one can enter or exit the buildings for Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools, which is doing this as a precaution because of what is happening on the Chapel Hill campus, and until they find this person who is armed and dangerous. And right now it seems the investigation is still focused on campus at the student union.
Yeah, those sirens that activated just before 1 o'clock that set this off and let everybody know, alerted them. They also came accompanied via university, anybody with a registered text or cell phone through the university to students there, faculty, staff, everyone, through the online campus directory. They got this message pushed out to them, communicating that emergency this status was put in place right now. It's going to campus-wide email. It's going to social media as well as voicemail messages going out. So keep those clear, keep those lines clear for communication because the next message that you get could be the all clear if they are able to locate this person with the gun.
It has now been more than 45 minutes since that Alert Carolina was issued for that armed person on campus. And let's go up to Ed Wilson, who is in Sky 5 right now, giving us these live pictures. Ed, what are you seeing from your vantage point, and how does this compare, would you say, from the last situation on August 28th when UNC Chapel Hill had to deal with an armed person on campus?
Well, Renee, we've been here about 7 or 8 minutes now. We've seen a heavy police presence when we first got here. Some of those police officers and sheriff's deputies probably just went inside a building or something, so we don't see much of them right now. All we see right now is a small group of police huddled up right here in front of the student union here. And as compared to last time, it looked like the police presence was much more heavier last time, and we're just hanging out, observing, and trying to see what's going on ourselves, and as soon as we know something, we'll let you guys know.
And is that the focal point right there where we're seeing the largest police presence? Are you seeing anything else around the perimeter of campus? Because they're telling us that the perimeter they've established is the entire main campus. Is this the single area you're seeing the most activity?
Yeah, Jeff, I heard part of that. It's got a lot of stuff going up in the helicopter, of course. But yeah, the presence look like the largest police presence that we've seen is right here in front of the student union here. At this moment, when we first got here, they were on the street here right in front of the student union, but now some officers have moved up here on the plaza itself, so we just observing and trying to see what's happening here ourselves.
And certainly the priority is on safety of everyone, so that's the main message that is getting out, and that's why the entire campus is set up. That perimeter has been set up just in the utmost mind of safety and keeping everybody where they are until this person is captured.
And Ed, while you've been up there, let me ask you one more question. If you see a lot of streets blocked off surrounding that area too, are there cars trying to come onto campus, or is that traffic being diverted? If we still have Ed.
Yeah, traffic has been diverted right now. You got police officers right here, this intersection, as you can see. They got these streets blocked off in front of the student union area, and they're not letting anyone flow in or out at this point. And there's no students to be seen at all on campus at this point.
Right now looking like a ghost campus as students follow those instructions to shelter in place wherever they may have been when that alert was issued. Ed Wilson, thank you so much, and for Sky 5 providing us these live pictures so we can get a sense of what is happening as this search is playing out on UNC's campus.
We take it down to the ground now. Monica Casey is right in the center of this hub of activity. Police and law enforcement of different varying organizations are there. Monica, do you have any updates? What can you tell us that you're seeing now?
Yeah, Jeff, we're seeing more of the same at this point. There are still quite a few law enforcement officers concentrated here on this brick building here, the student union that's next to the student stores. But we've seen people be evacuated from that building a little earlier. We have not seen anyone come out since then. If you take a look here on the other side, we are at the intersection of Stadium and South Road. A lot of law enforcement over here now. The Orange County Sheriff's Office pulled up in this direction here on this sidewalk a little while ago, heading over in this direction. We're seeing a lot of law enforcement with long guns, bulletproof vests, just a long line of cars here. This is near the bell tower, so this is really central on UNC's campus, and the silence and total lack of students is eerie and unusual. We did see one student come down the road on a bicycle and quickly get turned around in the other direction by police, directed away from this area where we are, again, near the student union and the bell tower here on campus.
And Monica, when you first arrived and you saw those people leaving the student union there, was that an effort in your eyes, and being on the ground there, was that an effort just to clear that building and secure that building, get those people to their safe place, and then move on with the investigation?
Yeah, Jeff, that's what it looked like. The people that we saw leaving the student union were not running. I would say they were certainly walking with purpose, getting away from that area. It looked to be mostly students being led by a couple of adults getting away from the student union. But again, they were not running. They did not seem overly agitated or anxious, just walking with purpose, getting away from that area. We've seen a lot of law enforcement go into that building since then, but since that first, what looked to be an evacuation, pretty organized, we haven't seen anyone else coming out of that building.
All right, thank you for those updates, Monica Casey. We'll let you go and talk with some more people, maybe to find out some more information. We're going to go back to Ken Smith in the W Area Live Center. And Ken, I understand you have a student on the phone right now, a student at UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah, Carolina is encouraging students to shelter in place. And right now we have UNC sophomore Hallie Brew on the line. And Hallie, we appreciate your time. I know this is another difficult day for you and your fellow students. Take us back to around 1 o'clock and what you experienced when those sirens started going off. Where were you and what were you experiencing?
Yeah, so I was actually in my dorm this time around when the sirens started going off. I actually woke up to a call from my boyfriend asking if there was another shooting and asking what to do because he's at Lenore Dining Hall, which is right across from the student union. And then the text started flooding in from peers who were in the union saying that they saw people running in and outside and kind of just expressing that we all can't believe that this is happening again, not even a month after the first experience that we've had in lockdown.
Yeah. And I understand you had friends who were in the student union when this all happened. What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, I mean, my roommate said that there was a man that ran down the stairs and kind of pushed his way through a bunch of people before allegedly pulling a gun, but by then they had already left the union, and then as soon as they did, people started running, and I guess that was a few minutes before the sirens.
Yeah, and you alluded to this initially, but how difficult is this for you and your fellow students, having gone through this just about 2 weeks ago?
It's very frustrating and disheartening. I had expressed during the first shooting that I was surprised that I hadn't lived through an experience like this before and that I wouldn't be surprised if I did again. Unfortunately, it was a lot sooner than all of us anticipated. And like I said before, really just disheartening is the word to express gun violence in America.
Yeah. And having gone through the one 2 weeks ago and this time around, what are you feeling right now?
I think I'm just a little bit numb to all of this. I mean, this time around, I'm not in a classroom. I'm in my dorm. I'm definitely somewhere that feels safer, but at the same time, it's just, this shouldn't be happening anywhere but for it to happen twice in the same year is it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Hallie, we so appreciate your time today, and stay safe. And we are all looking out for that campus this hour here. We appreciate your time, Hallie. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yeah, that was UNC sophomore Hallie Brew. She was in her dorm when this all started unfolding, getting a call from her boyfriend asking what was going on, because he was in the dining hall across the street from where this incident was happening. She also talked about her friends who were in that dining hall and running away, and just how difficult and frustrating it is for the students there on campus. Many of them just experiencing college for the first time. And, you know, having covered the story from August 28th, we heard from many students who said that we are a generation that they're calling themselves the lockdown generation, in terms of they've experienced these type of incidents in their own high schools. And now here they are at college having to experience the same thing twice in the last couple of weeks, as we heard from Hallie Brew just now, talking about how anxious and frustrating it was for her to go through this yet again. She said, you know, she's experienced it the first time and thought, well, you know, I'm not sure when this is going to happen again, not knowing it was going to happen 2 weeks later. Before I toss it back to you and Jeff and Renee, I want to show you another alert that came out from Alert Carolina, telling students and staff to continue to shelter in place. And of course, check Alert Carolina for any updates that will be coming out, because this is still an active scene there on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. Jeff and Renee.
Ken, thanks for that. And also, to Hallie's point, she said that she felt a little safer in her dorm. But the fact is, when that siren sounds, the protocol is to stop campus activity, stop everything that is going on, stop learning in the classroom, operations. Just suspend. So there are kids in classrooms, there are kids in dining halls right now, there are kids spread out all over main campus, which is the perimeter in totality of what is happening here. So the safest place to be is inside with the windows closed, doors closed in that building, until and unless police or university officials tell you that you can take some other action, like evacuate a building. We saw the kids coming out and adults coming out of the Union because they were told to evacuate that building there. But until you're told to stay out of a certain part of campus or stay out of a certain area, they have to stay where they are. So everything goes into suspension. We halt until we hear the siren again, which the next one would be the all clear, if and when we do hear that.
You can only imagine those students who are sheltering in place wherever they are as they await information, no doubt texting their family and friends to let them know that they are okay. And officials are asking folks to keep their cell phone lines open for emergency calls, and instead maybe text or just register using the American Red Cross Safe and Well list to let family members who are outside the emergency area to communicate with them, but they want the cell phone lines to stay open there. And for anyone on campus, if you're seeing any suspicious activity, to call 911, but do not flood 911 with calls just asking about the situation. We are going to stay on the air with these updates to let you know exactly what is happening on UNC Chapel Hill campus.
We're also going to go right back to Ken Smith for an update from the Live Center. Ken.
Jeff and Renee, we're just getting some new information from our sources who've been keeping us updated in terms of what's happening there in the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. Here's what our sources are telling us right now in the last minute or so, that the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee at Alpine Bagel waves a weapon and then takes off and leaves the bagel shop, and of course cause all this mayhem that you're seeing right now on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. But again, that is from our sources there on campus giving us this information about the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee waved that weapon and of course scared everybody, and that triggered an Alert Carolina letting people know that there's an armed and dangerous person on campus. Again, as we've been reporting, no shots were fired. We're not hearing any any reports of anybody being injured or being taken to a hospital. So parents, if you have students there at UNC Chapel Hill, we're letting you know that so that that will at least calm your nerves that your students right now, all the students at UNC Chapel Hill are sheltering in place. Many of them are safe. And Jeff, as you just aptly pointed out, many of them are in dorms, are in classrooms, in dining halls, all sheltering in place right now as authorities there in Chapel Hill look for this person who was waving a gun there inside the student union, specifically that Alpine Bagel Shop. Jeff from Renee.
And Ken, the student that you talked to not just 5 minutes ago there on the phone, Hallie, used the word disheartening to describe what is happening right now. Disheartening that just within a 2.5-week span, a new school year, that this is the second time that UNC Chapel Hill students are having to go on lockdown, having to see this large police presence, law enforcement presence, securing buildings and investigating because of a threat to the students and staff. However, the facts of this particular situation different from what we learned on August 28th. No shots fired. We do want to stress that. And right now they are searching for that person who waved a gun at that bagel store at the student union.
Certainly you could go a lifetime and not go through this, and that would be just fine, but it's not the case, and it is just not a reality for those kids on UNC campus right now. Incredible that they are enduring this once again, second time in just a few weeks. We can take you back now, since we are 1 hour since that alert sounded on campus telling folks to shelter in place, that there was a be on the lookout notice sent out. You see these police. Moments before this happened, this street was empty, and we were on the air live when this happened. Those cruisers pulled up, sirens were and lights flashing, law enforcement getting out with guns drawn. You see the long guns there, scouring both sides of that street, on the student union side of the street as well as the other side of the street, up and down. We saw them on their phones. We saw them communicating. We saw them change course, run back to their cars. A couple of them moved their vehicles to search a different area, but they still, this is video from not that long ago after the alert was sounded, and a lot of activity focused on just that area where we have been showing you from Sky 5 and live on the ground as well.
And Jeff, the word I would use when watching law enforcement here conduct their investigation, very methodical and urgent, and yet we're not seeing a lot of running happening, at least so far since the hour that we've been here on the air with you. Let's go back to Monica Casey, who's been watching things for us there on campus, on the ground there. Monica, what else are you seeing?
Yeah, Renee, this is where most of the activity is concentrated. The buildings here behind me, the student store and the student union. You can see on this road quite a few law enforcement vehicles. Now that we've crossed the street, you can see a lot more over there on the right side of the road. There are dozens there of UNC police, Chapel Hill Police, and the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The investigation centers here. We did see some students evacuate from that building quite a while ago. No one else has come out since then. We have seen police go inside that building as well. If you come around this way, this is a busy area. You can see a parking lot. Lots of people park over here. We've seen a couple cars with people trying to leave. Obviously, they've been directed to the left since this road is closed here, but you can see a large gaggle of police and sheriff's office here with bulletproof vests and long guns as well, seeming to be getting ready to maybe go into a building. We're not sure. They've been standing in that spot for at least the last 10 minutes or so. No one necessarily running around in this area or anything like that. No students are out still, though. We did get another Alert Carolina update in just the last couple of minutes, reminding students to remain sheltered in place and silence their phones right now. That alert still says there is an armed and dangerous person on campus, urging students to seek shelter, and that's exactly what they're doing. We've seen almost no one outside here walking aside from law enforcement.
And Monica, the latest that we've heard about that person who is armed on campus is a source telling WRAL that the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee working at the Alpine Bagel waved a gun here about an hour ago at 12:55, and that's when that Alert Carolina was issued.
disheartening is what you heard from that student say there, but terrifying is what the folks inside that bagel shop had to be feeling at the time when somebody at the register there just starts waving a gun and yelling, and you wonder those folks what action they took and how quickly that alarm and siren went out and how fast the activity from police showed up on campus there, the law enforcement, a large presence there still, and we've seen that grow over the last hour since we have been on the air, certainly to the point where it is now. But you make a good point, Renee, methodical in the process of how they have gone up and down the streets, scouring it, how we saw some of those folks come out in an orderly fashion with purpose to get where they're supposed to be into a safe area, close windows, close doors, get there, stay there until they find the person who was spotted with the gun inside the bagel shop in the student union there. But now, as we look at this live picture right now, we see lines of law enforcement vehicles there having conversations, and we've seen them in different stages of this. Long guns drawn, running. We've seen them on radios, on phones, getting more information. Sky 5 with live pictures on the left side of the screen there. The perimeter is the entire main campus. So anybody watching this potentially right now, just know that if you're in that perimeter, you're still part of all this.
And we've also been letting folks know that Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools, they've been in secure mode as a result of this investigation. That is still in place. What that means is the entrances, exits are locked. The building is secure. Classroom instruction is still happening, but we've also just learned that dismissal may be delayed because of what is happening here on UNC Chapel Hill. They are waiting for next steps, the instruction, waiting for an all clear until they can safely dismiss those students. So parents of Chapel Hill Carrboro City School students, if you are watching us right now, that is the latest word that we're getting from the school system here as officials want to get word out about what is happening with the students there on those campuses. Dismissal will likely be delayed as we await instruction from campus police, UNC Chapel Hill, until they are done with what is happening here on this campus, trying to look for that person who has shown a weapon over at the bagel store in the student union at 12:55, and now we're coming up here just after 2 o'clock. Still no word of that person, no sighting. We can still tell you that no shots have been fired, and we're working to learn about any injuries, but so far we have not heard about any injuries, as students also await what to do next and hoping for an all clear at some point.
Certainly, Renee, the delay in letting out some of the schools is based upon pure and simple safety, because nobody knows where this person is. This person could be off campus by now and in another part of Chapel Hill or elsewhere. They don't know. And right now the focus is the center point right near the student union where this all started, but the perimeter is campus. He could have gotten past the perimeter, not sure.
And here's hoping that that person hasn't slipped past the perimeter. But in the last on-campus shooting, by the time they caught up with the accused gunman, that person was off campus. So we're, of course, going to stay here on the air with you as they continue to actively search for this man with a gun. Let's go over to Ken Smith once again. Ken, what are you hearing?
You know, Jeff and Renee, we're getting some insights into what students are experiencing for the last hour or two. We talked to Hallie Brew just a few minutes ago, and we heard from her. Now we have Mary. She's another sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill. Mary, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. First of all, take us back to 1 o'clock today. You heard the sirens going off. What did you experience?
You mean today or tomorrow?
Today.
Oh. I was scared just because I didn't know, I didn't think it was gonna happen again.
And where were you when this all started happening?
So I was in the same place I was last 2 weeks ago, in my dorm room, and a lot of people were in the same places because we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, so a lot of people are in the same classrooms.
And you said you had just gotten back from lunch and you were actually in the student union having lunch prior to this happening.
Yeah, I was in the area, but I had left before it happened. I got the notification when I was back in my dorm.
Yeah. Being that you're a sophomore, experiencing the same situation in the space of 2.5 weeks, what are you feeling right now? Help us understand what you and your fellow students are feeling right now.
I know there's a lot of fear and kind of disbelief that this would happen again for the second time. I know I'm definitely like more anxious now. You know, I didn't think that it would happen again because you never think it's gonna happen like near you. But I don't know. I'm scared it might happen again.
Yeah, and for you, having experienced what happened on August 28th, having experienced what's happening today, when you think of your college experience, how is this going to affect how you think about your college experience?
Well, I think it's already affecting a lot of students' college experiences, especially the freshmen, this being their first year. I just know that, ever since the first shooting and definitely after this second lockdown, professors are changing syllabi and everything's kind of, adjusting to a new normal.
Yeah. Hey, Mary, we so appreciate your time. We can hear the concern in your voice. We're glad that you and your fellow students are safe this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Mary, and we heard from Hallie Brew in the last, 15, 20 minutes, just getting some perspective for many of these students. You heard Mary mention, especially freshmen. They're experiencing college life for the first time, and in the space of 2.5 weeks, they're running for their lives, so to speak, in terms of the situation, in terms of sirens going off, in terms of running to safety because of a quote-unquote armed and dangerous person on campus. It happened on August 28th and happened again today. Our sources, if you're just joining us, our sources telling us that the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee at the Alpine Bagel Shop, a very popular bagel shop, there in the student union, waved a weapon and pushed his way past several people and ran out of that building. And that, as a result of that, Alert Carolina sent out that alert, letting people know that there's an armed and dangerous person on campus as we continue to see this active police presence there on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. Jeff and Renee.
And Ken, hearing Mary share her experience with that emotion in her voice, this should not be the college experience, not even one lockdown, but now two in just a matter of 2.5 weeks. It truly is unfortunate and disheartening as we await police to do their work to secure the campus and find that person with the gun.
Unlike 2 weeks ago, Renee, we had video, and just as that siren was sounding there, as you see this live look right now, more than an hour ago, that siren went off, and we had some video come in that showed kids running. And just the thought of that and what is going through their minds at that point makes you wonder exactly in 2.5 weeks' time what these kids are going through when they're trying to just be on campus and learn. And this is, you hear the audio message telling these kids to get to a safe place, the audible alarm that you're hearing there. And these kids are running to go get into a safe place, get behind closed doors, get their windows closed, and stay there until they hear what to do next. And this is happening in the entire main campus area, UNC Chapel Hill, every building. So there are people in dining halls. There are people who we've talked to who are in their dorms and say they feel a little bit safer because they're in their quote unquote home right there. But there are classrooms full of people that are not allowed to leave because of what's happening right now.
And within the time that we've been live on the air with you since 1 o'clock this afternoon, Shelley Jackson has been able to get to the UNC Chapel Hill campus. Shelley, I understand you're near the bagel place where this is all taking place.
We are right in front of the Carolina Union. This is the Carolina Union, and the Alpine Bagel Place is right here on the corner. You can see it there. So we've been able to talk to a couple of students out here, and what we can can figure out has happened is that a friend of one of the workers came in here. There was some kind of argument, a lot of expletives exchanged, and then this person pulled out a gun, and then everybody ran out and ran down through this plaza to get onto a bus and get out of here. Now, right out here, it's pretty deserted. There is about a dozen police officers here. When we arrived on scene, we parked a little bit away and then walked in about 10 minutes. We came across a parent who had driven here. He said his son is in the library on lockdown, and he was very concerned because this is just 3 weeks after that last incident. Also, when we stopped to figure out our bearings, my photographer noticed one of the students, a young girl, hiding in the bushes behind us. And as I was chatting with her, asking her if she needed help, she said she was afraid. She didn't even want to come out for me. It wasn't until a police officer walked over to help her. He took her and got her into one of the buildings that was on lockdown so that she would be safe. We have seen a few students out here walking around, but largely it's pretty deserted. Right now, I believe they are hunting for that suspect. And so we're going to talk with some more students and find out some more information for you when you check back to us again.
What was it like, Shelley, getting to that point in your vehicle as you were making your way on campus? How difficult was it to get to that area? And what did you see on the way in?
Well, all the main roads are definitely blocked off, so we had to pull out the map and try to figure a back way in, and we know that Monica was on the other side of this, so we parked behind and walked in through the plaza, hoping to get a little bit closer, but main roads are closed. It's pretty hard to get around campus, but we did see some folks walking around.
Okay,
and
Shelley
a huge
Jackson.
Yeah, huge development here. Shelley, thank you so much. We've just learned from UNC police giving the all clear for this now as we see some law enforcement vehicles pull away there from the student union. Just got the all clear here at 2:11, a little more than an hour after this alert was issued for that person who displayed a gun there on campus at that bagel shop where Shelley was just reporting from.
So as we get this word out, I know a lot of folks have been waiting for that all clear siren to go, but we have that tweet from Chapel Hill Police. They're saying not only the all clear, but as they start to pull away some of their units there and allow folks to come out and get in. And we heard from one of the students who was afraid. Shelley just said she was afraid to come out and talk to her because she didn't hear anything from police. Well, now we are getting that word from police, and immediately we see folks coming out of buildings.
Undoubtedly, so much relief now for those students, getting those alerts on their phone, the all clear, that they can go about their day, but certainly nothing normal about this day, where this lockdown that was in effect starting at 12:55 after a person who was at the bagel shop, the Alpine Bagel Shop at Student Union, waved a gun, and then the search was on for that person. Let's get back to Shelley Jackson, who's talking with folks there. Shelley.
This once, nobody should ever feel like the fear of the possibility of having to go through this, and the fact that it's happened twice is absolutely insane.
Do you blame the university?
No, I don't blame the university. I think that we just need regulations on gun policy, and that's not on the university. And I do think that the university has been doing everything they can, and I think that they are taking into account everything that's been happening. And like, I'm in the exact same classroom I was last time. Last time I had no locks. This time there's locks. So at least these little things are being improved. And I definitely think that there's a lot of ways that the university can improve, but I don't think that they're doing like a terrible job with it. I think that it's not their fault, and I don't blame them for it. I think that it's tighter regulations that we need.
A student I talked to when this first happened, he was in the law school. He told me that they sent out a note immediately to stop classes and actually lock doors, so the response was a little better. You think so too?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know it was happening until, so there was like people coming into our classroom, and we had no idea what was happening, and then they were saying that they heard that there was a shooting, and then we got like the notifications a few minutes later, so I'm not sure how long it took and versus like what the university like thought was happening, but yeah.
Okay, Elena, thank you so much.
Of course.
Let's get one more.
Just within minutes of getting the all clear from Chapel Hill Police via a tweet that campus is ready to be back open again, at least for kids to get out of buildings and move around. We are seeing a whole bunch of activity there. A live look from Sky 5 right now. A ghost town of a campus has come back to life here, but it is not without that stark reminder. Even just this week, UNC Chapel Hill students meeting in downtown Raleigh, trying to get some information on gun reform, meeting in Raleigh.
Shelley Jackson is talking to a student right now. Let's listen in.
I mean, I was in the dining hall, and then we got text messages from friends before we got the alert, Carolina, and we just saw people running, and so it kind of like brought some PTSD back a little bit. Everyone was really scared, not knowing what was going on. But then we were looking out those windows up there, just seeing like police running around with guns and stuff, not really sure what was going on, but we felt a little bit better once we knew that like there were no shots fired and stuff like that. So it's a little relieving, but still not really.
What did you think? I mean, when I got that alert, I had to look at the date. I'm like, what? Again?
Yeah, it was a little shocking. I didn't expect it to happen for a second time, but you know, this is the world that we live in right now, and nothing's really changed, so not too surprising.
Do you think the university's response was a little better this time?
I think the university's response both times was pretty fair. I mean, we were all getting a lot of information at once. I just think we need to do more about making sure students are safe on campus.
And do you fault the university at all for the guns on campus?
No, not faulting the university. Probably just faulting our UNC legislators who are still in Raleigh, just recently voting to loosen gun laws, as there are real students who are dealing with this issue right now.
Okay. And anything else?
And Shelley Jackson working that scene right there, talking to students out there as you can see them pour out of buildings all over campus now that the all clear has been given.
That ghost campus coming back to life. Let's go out to Monica Casey, who's also talking with a student. Monica, what are they saying?
Yeah, hey Renee, I'm here with Kareem. He's a junior here at UNC. Tell me about what building you were in and what it's been like in the last hour.
I was in Stone Center. It's just right over there. I didn't expect it. It just came on naturally. Just the alarm came on and it was a bit scary. And yeah, we just kind of sheltered in and just waited for it to clear up.
And were you in a classroom?
I was in my class.
About how many people were in there with you?
Maybe about 150.
Okay, and what did your instructor do?
We barricaded the doors and we just sat and waited.
And what was the mood like in that room?
It was just silent. Everybody was kind of exhausted. You know, when the alert came on, they were like, "Not again." And then yeah, we just kind of just waited it out.
And were you on campus last month?
Yeah, I was on campus. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was first time, so I didn't really know how to feel. But it's kind of crazy that it happened on my campus. So yeah.
And this happening again so quickly, did it put you right back where you were last month and those feelings?
It kind of reminded me, but yeah, same thing. Yeah.
And how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm just glad nobody's hurt, and you know, just safe. I'm just probably gonna go back and study. Yeah.
And how are your friends doing? Some of those people that were in that big lecture with you?
Everybody's good. Yeah, everybody's fine. I bet it just takes some time to recover, and that's all.
Yeah. And with this happening again so soon, you know, what do you think needs to be done about this kind of thing?
I don't really know. I guess just let the government decide that. I don't really have an opinion on that. Yeah.
And what's next for you here today?
Probably just go home. Just get some sleep.
Decompress a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. We appreciate your time. You have a good rest of your day. Thank you. So Renee, you know, we're all clear has sounded. You can see this is such a different scene than we were seeing before. We're going to send it back to you now in studio.
And Monica, just like that student was saying, there's a lot of relief that no one was hurt in this incident. No shots were fired. There is that palpable relief, but also talking about the trauma that they experienced once again with the second lockdown in 17 days on the UNC Chapel Hill campus. This outcome very different from what happened on August 28th. And we're happy to report that no one was injured, and UNC police giving the all clear as you see students now pouring out of those buildings after they were sheltering in place, relieved that they can go about their day.
Yeah, important also as we get back to Shelley Jackson here in just a moment that the resolution, we haven't gotten that yet as far as an arrest made. The all clear has been given, certainly, and that is a relief. But as these kids, PTSD flashbacks coming through about not again, things like that, disheartened about what has happened. Some of them in the same classrooms as they were 2.5 weeks ago when this happened on campus. But we still don't know about the person who waved that gun. Has there been an arrest made? We'll wait and follow up and ask those questions, certainly. But Shelley Jackson, still live on campus right there, talking with some of the students again.
Well, yes, we're out here in the plaza that we were just at about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Much different now. When we first arrived on scene, students were glued to the windows, and now they're out here in the plaza. We're going to chat with this one student. What's your name?
Yeah, Layla Turner.
What was your reaction when you got this, notification?
Yeah, so I was actually sitting outside the dining hall with some friends when we saw across from the student union. All the students were just running out. Chairs were getting knocked over, things like that. And instantly we were all just like, oh, we have to run, because we experienced this a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So the adrenaline was definitely high.
When you saw that notification, was it I had to check my date and make sure it wasn't an old one.
Right, yeah. So I got the notification pretty late, but that confirmed what was going on, and I was just trying to make sure the girls I was with were calm and let them know that everything's going to be okay.
Did you feel that the campus handled this a little bit better this time, or did you think the way it handled it last time was okay too?
It was about the same, I would say. It was about the same. I didn't hear the alarm go off first. I saw people running first, and then that's when the alarm went off.
Did your heart drop into your...
Oh, yes. Yeah, it really did.
Did you feel that maybe, the last time shots were fired and this time there weren't shots, did you feel that changed the atmosphere on campus at all?
Well, I would say so, because people are walking around, checking on their friends, things like that. And last time it was different because we saw all the police around, everything like that. So the atmosphere is a little different this time. But I would say some people their anxiety did kick in because of what just happened.
Do you blame the university all? This is the second time in less than 3 weeks. Is there something that they can do?
I would say probably stricter gun laws, especially on campus, more security, things like that. So stuff like this doesn't happen again, so where someone could just walk on campus and pull a gun out on anyone.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. When we first arrived, it was a much different scene. It was no one was out here. When we were walking here, we found a student who was crouching down and hiding in the bushes. And when I stopped to talk to her, she was afraid to come out. She didn't move until a police officer told her he would escort her to a building. She was just terrified and didn't want to move. I also ran into a parent who jumped in his car and drove down here right away. So right now, a lot of smiles and happy faces. There is still a police presence out here. The students seem relieved to come out of the buildings and get back to their school day. Jeff?
Shelley Jackson there, live on UNC Chapel Hill's campus right there. And we've been listening into several of her interviews, and there is a familiar tone coming out that most of the kids believe that the response from the university has been fair, and they're not blaming UNC for what is taking place here. Somebody coming into a building in an area and waving a gun. So as far as resolutions go, all clear, yes. Arrest, we don't know yet. We're still working our sources to find out what has happened with the person on campus there waving the gun in that bagel shop.
Yeah, still a lot of questions about whether they have captured that person waving the gun, but they obviously feel the campus is now secure to give that all clear so that students can go about their day. The other theme, Jeff, I noticed with these interviews with the students that we're hearing from them, talking about how they are processing all of this, the wave of emotions that they feel once that alert goes out, the fear and the anxiety they feel, following the instructions, sheltering in place, waiting for the all clear, and then after getting that all clear, feeling that relief that at least in this instance, no one was injured that we know of, and no shots were fired. Let's get over to Monica Casey once again, who's yet again been talking with students. Monica certainly talking about that fear they initially felt, but also relieved that no one was hurt in this particular situation.
Yeah, Renee, I think relief is a great word here right now. I'm here with freshman student Pursuance of Cora. Tell me a little bit about where you were when all of this unfolded.
So when the shooting occurred, I was at the gym. It's the Fetzer gym. That's on South Road. So it was near the basement, and it kind of felt more secure and safe than, being outside. I know some of my friends were at the dining hall, so that can be kind of scary if you're out and about traveling between your next class. So I felt a little bit safer. There's weights around me. Just try to barricade myself with the weights.
And you mentioned this is exactly where you were the last time this happened. Tell me about how you felt that alarm going off again.
Yeah, so it was exactly 2 weeks ago when I was sitting in the same position. I was in the same class, getting ready for my next lecture, which was Calculus 3 again, once again. But this time, I felt almost like it was a joke because I was doing my own weights. I had my headphones in. My friends tells me, we're another shooting teacher turns the light off, and I'm like, I have to ask him one more time, like, are you sure? And then I check Alert Carolina, and it's the same message from 2 weeks ago. So it felt kind of surreal for a second. Yeah.
And how are you feeling now? We have the all clear has gone out. Obviously, lots of people around us heading back to class and everything. How are you feeling?
I feel a little bit more relief because last time there was like 30 minutes into the lockdown, we kind of heard that there were shots fired, and there was a lot of rumors being spread around. But this time it felt a little bit more relief. We knew I was listening to the EMS or the Orange County EMS as well, so we kind of knew what was going on. We knew that there was just one shooter, no shots had been fired, and then it was just an armed and dangerous person. So it felt a little bit more safe. But at the end of the day, it's still kind of nerve-wracking and kind of weird to see that in less than 2 weeks you have two armed shooters on campus.
And you mentioned you've been in touch with your family.
Yeah.
How are they feeling about all this?
Of course, my family doesn't. They think it's just unsafe, to be honest, because why in less than 2 weeks in our schools in America, why are public schools getting gunned down like this? So they obviously are asking me if I'm okay. My mom's calling me like, do I have to pick you up? I don't feel safe with you just being there all the time. So last time, we had 2 days of canceled classes, so I went home one of the days. I don't think classes are going to be canceled this time, but they definitely are requesting me to come back home at least. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're safe. Thank you for talking with us. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
And Renee, that's kind of what we've been hearing even from some students who didn't want to talk on camera, that this incident really took them right back to where they were just a few weeks ago. There's a lot of frustration here as well about this happening again, all at the start of the school year. Just a lot of emotion on this campus here right now.
No doubt. Different emotions being felt right now as students are processing that all clear and thinking about what just happened within the last hour and a half here of this lockdown that is now all clear. Monica, thank you for that. And as we've been hearing from some of these students who mentioned that they were in the exact same place as they were on August 28th when that first Alert Carolina with that on-campus shooting, when that all unfolded. Uncanny that this is the same time frame, same afternoon, right after around 1 o'clock that this all happened, as far as an alert being issued for students to shelter in place.
So,
in 17 days, Jeff.
Yeah, that was a Monday, right? August 28th. So if you have those Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, today's a Wednesday. So these folks, it is just so strangely familiar that they have been in the same place. The last interview we just heard from, and several others that we heard from today, in the very same place when they got the alert from that initial shooting.
We also have an update from Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools. They were also waiting for that all clear from UNC Police, and now dismissal will begin at the usual time. Elementary school happening here in just about 7 minutes at 2:35. The middle school and high schools will also be dismissing at their usual times. They were in secure mode during the lockdown at UNC Chapel Hill for the safety of the students. They still had classroom instruction, just the entrances and exits were locked, but now dismissal will happen usual time. That's certainly a relief for parents there at Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools.
Yeah, out of abundance of caution and safety, just to keep the kids safe. You don't want to let them out when you don't know where this person is. So with that all clear, we have to assume that this person is off the streets in one way or another. We'll wait to hear the update from police on that. But Ken Smith is in the Live Center right now with an update for us. Ken.
And you know, Jeff and Renee, we've been just getting some perspective from students from the last hour or two that we've been on the air. And this new video into our newsroom just shows how chaotic it must have been around 1 o'clock when those sirens started going off. The verbal messages started going around campus, and what you're seeing there, students apparently just dropped everything and left behind book bags and personal belongings, shoes, you name it. This is from inside one of the lecture halls there on the campus of UNC-Chapel Hill. So just gives you an idea of what these students have been going through for the last hour or so or two that we've been on the air, in terms of when that siren went off about an hour and a half ago, just how scary and anxious many of these students were, that many of them just dropped everything and left. And in talking with a couple of students we talked with in the last hour, you can hear the concern and the frustration really in their voice, and how anxious they are to be on campus and to experience this in a space twice in the space of 17 days. Jeff and Renee.
Can you just imagine, Ken, thanks for that look at that video, just the classroom chaos there and the things being left behind. Shoes, Ken mentioned. Monica Casey's outside and said she saw shoes. People just so terrified, running out of their shoes to get away and get to a safe place.
And we heard from those students, their instincts kicked in as soon as that alert went out. We've heard from the students Monica was talking to, as well as Shelly Jackson, these UNC-Chapel Hill students, using words like absolutely insane that they had to go through this twice in a matter of 2.5 weeks. Another student talked about PTSD kicking in, anxiety levels kicking in when they hear about an armed person on campus. Fortunately, in this situation, no shots were fired. Of course, we're still awaiting more information from UNC police on whether they have found this person that displayed a weapon on campus and what led up to that particular incident. Let's go over now to Ed Wilson, who is giving us these live pictures from Sky 5 as we take an aerial view of the campus. Ed, what a sight, I'm sure, to see all those students pouring out of the buildings after they were sheltering in place for the last 90 minutes.
You're right, Renee. When we first got here, the campus was pretty dead. There was no movement or anything. Now you got, hundreds of thousands of students here walking around campus here. As you see these little blue tables here where I'm showing you now, when we first got here, there was laptops, book bags, food still on these tables, so showing how the student must have left in great haste to get out of here. But now seems to be things are back to normal here, and that's a good sign that everything's going to be okay here for now.
What will normal be? That is certainly a question there. Ed, thank you for that view from above there. And I imagine traffic will be loosened up a little bit and they'll be allowed to move about campus there. Ed, are you seeing, while we still have you here, are you seeing traffic piled up a little bit like we did 2 weeks ago, or is it moving around okay at this point?
Well, I'm right here on Raleigh Road here on campus here, and it seems to be pretty normal traffic here. It seems to be a little traffic, but not too terribly bad right now. So everything is moving okay. Students are moving around. So I think they're trying to get things back to normal. As you said, Jeff, I don't know what normal is these days out here, but they're doing the best they can to get things back to an acceptable pace here.
So true, and the kids are wondering the same thing as we are. Ed, thanks for that view from above there as we continue to follow this, the all-clear movement on campus. So certainly a good sign here as we move forward today.
Whatever normal is for this lockdown generation, it appears that lockdowns are now part of that norm, unfortunately, for this new school year for them, 2 times in a matter of 17 days.
I want to take you to an interview right now we have with somebody who was right there and witnessed. We're not sure exactly how close, but let's find out. Let's listen to this interview. Somebody who was an eyewitness to all this occurring.
I was 10
10 yards away for sure, but I was kind of behind a wall. So it was in the student union in the center of campus, and it was at the Alpine Bagel cash register. And I was standing on the other side of it next to this fridge waiting for my order. And there's kind of an opening in the wall that you can see into the register area. And I noticed at first there was yelling. One of them screamed, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but one of them screamed so loudly that it drew a lot of attention from most people in the union. We're all looking over in that corner. And then I could only see the guy probably shoulders up because of the way I was kind of looking through this opening in the wall. But I guess now had pulled a gun out, and everyone ran out the back entrance of the union. I naturally just started running along with everyone, but of course I didn't know what was going on until I was kind of more at the back exit of the building. And then then we got the alert Carolina and all that. But I just wanted to share that it seemed like something that was, I don't know, some emotional, it started as a verbal fight. It was between two guys at the cash register. I think they were both workers, or at least one worker, one customer. But I think the scariest thing about last time was all of the misinformation. And so I just wanted to kind of get this out there, because I don't want families to freak out, or kids, anyone listening to this right now, or anyone that's locked down on campus to freak out kind of like we did last time.
That is a horrifying account right there of what she witnessed and what she saw other students doing and what they were forced to do running out of that building. There was the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee that we have confirmed got in this altercation back and forth that she was describing there. And that's what resulted in the sirens going off at 12:55 today and clearing out from that building, those people running scared, and then the lockdown took effect.
And she also referenced the last time that they got an alert, and she talked about the misinformation and the terror and the fear from that situation, and wanting to share her perspective of what happened this time in order to get that perspective out of what played out in this situation. But imagine all those folks there at the student union near that bagel shop and seeing that boyfriend of the disgruntled employee waving that gun and immediately running for their lives. For so many students who were in class or in their dorm and getting that alert, they're following the safety protocols, but then think of all the students who actually witnessed seeing that armed person and trying to get to safety as soon as they saw that gun pulled out. And we're still working to learn what has happened with that man that was showing that gun at the bagel shop.
Monica Casey is on the ground right there near the student union. And Monica, I know you've been talking with students there. You've been there since before this activity all started, because you were on another story when you heard the sirens go off there. Bring us up to speed on where you stand now.
Yeah, Jeff, that's right. We were over by the old well working on another story when we saw a couple of police cars with lights and sirens go by us. Before the sirens from the university had even started, students were already running, trying to seek shelter just after seeing law enforcement here on campus. We then heard those automated sirens and the automated voice telling people to seek shelter and get inside. We made our way to this area, which you saw earlier was completely silent. No students here at all. Now it looks far different. Things are sped up. People are rushing to their next class, maybe rushing home. This street has been choked with traffic since that all clear went out recently. And we have learned just 15 minutes before those sirens went off, students got an email from the university asking for their feedback on the procedures in place around the lockdown that went out just a couple of weeks ago. In speaking with students, we're hearing relief that no one was hurt this time. Jeff?
Yeah, Monica, we've been hearing, thanks for that report, we've been hearing the constant call for response and how folks believed that the university handled the situation, and the university has been proactive in trying to get out and get that information from them to see how procedures can be tightened up just a bit, any changes that need to be made if this were to ever happen again. Nobody really thought 2 weeks later that it would have happened again.
It appears in this situation from the students that were being interviewed by WRL's reporters that they believe in this situation, the notification and the safety protocols, that all were in line with what the university needed to do. No one seemed to blame the university for these instances. Instead, they talked about the broader issue of gun access and gun violence on campus as a part of society. And some even talked about how lawmakers probably need to start taking action on this, as this keeps happening over and over again for these students.
Just this week, students from UNC-Chapel Hill and across the country came to Raleigh to talk to lawmakers about that very issue that you speak of.
And then just today, the employees at UNC-Chapel Hill were gathering together to remember the professor who was killed on campus on August 28th. So this is a campus that is still trying to process these lockdowns, process the violence on campus. The outcome with this situation, certainly a relief for a lot of folks, but make no doubt there is still a lot of trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, if you will, of having to go through this again so soon. But it is so great to see these images once again of a busy, bustling UNC-Chapel Hill campus. That's how it should be on this beautiful, sunshine-filled day on a Wednesday afternoon, where they should be in class or doing whatever that they're supposed to do as a college student.
Yeah, certainly. As we wind things down here, just a recap of a timeline of how this all went. In case you're just joining us, 12:55, there was a siren that went off on campus with an audio alert that told people to shelter in place, get into a building, close doors, close windows, that there was an armed and dangerous person on campus. So folks did that. We determined through our sources that the person was the boyfriend of a disgruntled employee at the Alpine Bagel Shop that got into some sort of altercation. We heard from that student as students got out of the student union, but everyone else was locked down on campus. The full perimeter of the main campus was put into effect for that lockdown for folks to shelter in place.
Still a lot of questions in this investigation, and you can count on WRAL to continue covering every angle of this story at the UNC-Chapel Hill campus. You can find more coverage over on WRAL News Plus, on the WRAL News app, on WRAL.com. We will also have live reports beginning on WRAL News at 4. Thanks for staying with us. We hope you have a safe day, and we'll see you back here at 4 o'clock.
We now return you to regular programming.